Welcome to this edition of News Today, a series where we briefly discuss and analyze important news of the day. Without delay, let's explore the headlines first. The report Inequality Inc. has been published by Oxfam International, highlights corporate-driven inequality. Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade released the State Startup Ranking 2022. World Economic Forum will set up Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution or C4IR in Hyderabad. World Health Organization released a global report on trends in prevalence of tobacco use from 2000 to 2030. Reserve Bank of India has released the report of the Working Group on State Government Guarantees. The Ministry of Power has notified Electricity Amendment Rules 2024 to amend Electricity Rules 2005. Starting with the first news. The report Inequality Inc. has been published by Oxfam International, highlights corporate-driven inequality. In addition to economic inequality, the report reveals corporate and monopoly power intensifies disparities in gender and race. 7 out of 10 of the world's largest corporates either have a billionaire CEO or a billionaire as their principal shareholder. The wealth of the richest 5 men in the world has been doubled since 2020, while nearly 5 billion people, representing 60% of the global population, have become poorer. The Oxfam report also reveals some staggering statistics. It predicts that it will take over 2 centuries to end poverty, but there is a possibility of having world's first trillionaire in just 10 years. Globally, men own $105 trillion more wealth than women, and the richest 1% own 43% of all global financial assets. Alarmingly, the wealthiest 1% globally emits as much carbon pollution as the poorest 2/3 of humanity. Corporate power is identified as a major contributor to this inequality, manifesting through labor exploitation, tax evasions, privatization of public services, and worsening climate issues. There are also several ethical concerns associated with corporate monopoly. Monopolies hinder fair play by discouraging new players, inhibiting competition, and stifling innovation. Furthermore, corporate monopolies impede government accountability and the effective enforcement of regulations, leading to issues related to transparency. Environmental sustainability is compromised as corporations prioritize profit over ecological well-being, and worker exploitation becomes rampant, violating basic labor rights. The socio-economic impact includes worsening inequality, social tensions, and political instability. To address these concerns, the governments worldwide should consider implementing caps on CEO salaries, along with imposing permanent taxes on wealth and excess profits. Moving on to the next news, the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade released the State Startup Ranking 2022. Launched in 2018, States Startup Ranking Framework is an annual exercise that evaluates states and union territories on their efforts to build an ecosystem conducive to startup growth under 7 reforms areas pillars, which are institutional support, fostering innovation and entrepreneurship, access to market, incubation and mentoring support, funding support, capacity building of enablers, and roadmap of a sustainable future. Now let's discuss about its key findings. Total 33 states and UTs were ranked under 5 categories. First is Best Performers, which includes states like Gujarat, Karnataka, and Kerala. Then comes Top Performers with states Telangana and Arunachal Pradesh. Third is Leaders category with the states like Andhra Pradesh and Assam. Fourth is Aspiring Leaders, which includes states like Bihar and Haryana. Finally comes Emerging Startup Ecosystems with states like Chhattisgarh and Delhi. If we talk about India, then it has the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world. As of December 2023, more than 1.14 lakh startups have been recognized by the government. Now let's understand how startups are regulated in India. Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade under Ministry of Commerce and Industry recognize business as a startup, and Securities and Exchange Board of India or SEBI notifies rules for listing startups. Startups contribute through creation of employment, stimulating domestic investments, reducing import of foreign products or services, and promoting self-reliance. There are also some challenges for startups in India. These are complex process of incorporating company, lack of funding and supportive infrastructure, and promoting their intellectual property rights, which is sometimes time-consuming. Now let's have a look at the steps taken to promote startup ecosystem. Startup India Action Plan, Credit Guarantee Scheme for Startups, Income Tax Exemption for 3 years, and Startup India Seed Fund Scheme are few steps that have been taken for building up the startup ecosystem. Moving on to the next news. World Economic Forum will set up Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution or C4IR in Hyderabad. The center will be an autonomous, non-profit organization leading on policy and governance for healthcare and life sciences. The World Economic Forum has established C4IR globally to facilitate global cooperation and innovative ideas in 4IR. Now let's discuss about Fourth Industrial Revolution or Digital Revolution. It is characterized by a fusion of technologies that blurs the lines between the physical, digital, and biological spheres. The term was coined by Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. It includes technologies like the Internet of Things, robotics, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and 3D printing. The significance of 4IR include technological advancements, increased productivity and efficiency, economic growth, and good governance. The fourth industrial revolution with good governance will contribute in improving public service delivery by using digital platforms, better policy formulation by using big data analytics and artificial intelligence, better healthcare services delivery, example uses of drones and telemedicine, increased transparency and accountability, and faster resolution of grievances. Now let's have a look at some measures taken by India for capacity building in digital revolution. First is the National Quantum Mission to scale up scientific and industrial research and development for quantum technologies. Next is National Strategy on Additive Manufacturing to develop additive manufacturing grade materials and 3D printer machines. Third is Future Skills Prime program, which targets to reskill or upskill aspirants in emerging technologies. Fourth is Samarth Udyog Bharat 4.0, which is an initiative of Ministry of Heavy Industry for increased competitiveness in the Indian capital goods sector. In our next news, World Health Organization released a global report on trends in prevalence of tobacco use from 2000 to 2030. Let's start by first discussing about tobacco use in India. India is the world's second biggest tobacco producer after China. Globally, there are 1.25 billion adult tobacco users. Nearly 267 million adults 15 years and above in India are users of tobacco. Major tobacco producing states are Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, West Bengal, Telangana, and Bihar. Tobacco is a drought-tolerant, hardy, and short-duration crop which can be grown on soils where other crops cannot be cultivated profitably. Now let's dive into the key findings of the report. There has been a decline in tobacco use with about 1 in 5 adults worldwide consuming tobacco in 2022 compared to 1 in 3 in 2000. At least 37 million adolescents aged 13 to 15 years are current users of some form of tobacco, in which 25 million are boys and 12 million are girls. Now let's understand the impacts of tobacco use. Tobacco kills more than 8 million people each year due to risk of heart disease, lung disorders, and cancer, including an estimated 1.3 million non-smokers who are exposed to second-hand smoke. As per WHO, smoking costs the world's economies more than $1 trillion annually in healthcare expenditure and lost productivity. Deforestation is one environmental issue caused due to its cultivation. India has also taken some initiatives to control tobacco use. Let's have a look at them as well. India introduced several programs including National Tobacco Control Program, Prohibition of Electronic Cigarettes Act 2019, Cigarette and Other Tobacco Products Act 2003, and National Tobacco Quit Line Services. Let's also have a look at the global initiatives to control tobacco use. These initiatives include WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control adopted in 2003, India ratified it in 2004. Empower measures introduced by WHO. Empower stands for Monitor, Protect, Offer, Warn, Enforce, and Raise. Moving ahead, Reserve Bank of India has released the report of the Working Group on State Government Guarantees. In 2022, 32nd Conference of State Finance Secretaries discussed the problem of inadequate monitoring and reporting of guarantees issued by state governments. As a response, a working group was formed to address this issue. Let's start by first understanding about the state government guarantees. A guarantee is a form of contingent liability designed to shield investors or lenders from potential default risk of a borrower. State governments often authorize and issue guarantees on behalf of state enterprises, cooperative institutions, urban local bodies, and other state-owned entities. These guarantees are typically extended to lenders, commonly commercial banks or other financial institutions. Now let's discuss about the concerns with state government guarantees. Guarantees can pose fiscal risks, straining state finances with unanticipated cash outflows and increased debt. Prudential level of debt GSDP for a state is 20%, but non-disclosure of a high guarantee level understates a state's debt GSDP. Guarantees could create moral hazard, leading to the guaranteed entity to be suboptimal in performing its obligation. Similarly, investors and lenders may be less motivated to thoroughly assess projects compared to traditional non-recourse project financing. The recommendations outlined in the RBI report emphasize the need to clearly define the purpose for which government guarantees are issued. To enhance fiscal discipline, the report suggests a minimum fee for guarantees that are extended. A prudent fiscal approach is further advocated by fixing a ceiling for incremental guarantees issued during a year, limiting them to 5% of revenue receipts of 0.5% of GSDP, whichever is lower. The states are encouraged to continue building the Guarantee Redemption Fund or GRF to mitigate liabilities arising from guarantee invocations, and although the participation in GRF is voluntary, 19 states have already established it. Moving on to the next news. The Ministry of Power has notified Electricity Amendment Rules 2024 to amend Electricity Rules 2005. In exercise of powers conferred by Section 176 of Electricity Act 2003, Government has prescribed new rules for promoting ease of doing business by industries like green hydrogen manufacturers, facilitate energy transition and energy security. Let's delve into the key highlights of these rules. Consumers with a load exceeding specified limits and energy storage systems are now permitted to establish, operate, and maintain dedicated transmission lines without the need of a license. This move is expected to benefit new bulk consumers by providing them with affordable electricity and improving grid reliability, fostering faster individual growth, and creating more job opportunities. The rules provide methodologies for determining various open access charges, including wheeling charges, state transmission charges, and additional surcharge. An additional surcharge on open access will be progressively reduced and eliminated within 4 years. Rationalizing open access charges is anticipated to accelerate the adoption of renewable energy by industries, contributing to emissions reduction. It will also facilitate industries in getting electricity through open access at competitive rates. As per the rules, the tariff shall be cost reflective and there shall not be any revenue gap between approved annual revenue requirement and estimated annual revenue from approved tariff except under natural calamity conditions. This measure is aimed to ensure the financial sustainability of the power sector. These amendments signify a proactive approach by government to modernize the electricity sector, encouraging sustainable practices and economic growth. The personality news for today is Shri Bahadur Shastri. He was India's second Prime Minister and was remembered on his death anniversary. Now let's have a look at his contributions. He participated in all mass movements launched during India's fight for freedom and was imprisoned as many as 7 times. In 1946, he was elected to Uttar Pradesh Legislative Assembly and was appointed Parliamentary Secretary to Chief Minister. He led the country during the Indo-Pakistan War of 1965 and gave the slogan of Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. He also promoted White Revolution and was posthumously awarded Bharat Ratna in 1966. He exhibited the values of humility, courage, determination, and integrity. As we conclude today's main news, let's take a look at some quick updates. Member of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme or MP-LADS e-Sakshi mobile application launched by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation allows MPs to propose, track and oversee projects under MP-LADS scheme. It is a central sector scheme. MP-LADS funds are used for creation of durable community assets in areas of drinking water and primary education. RBI issued a draft circular on review of regulatory framework for housing finance companies and harmonization of regulation applicable to HFCs or NBFCs. HFCs are corporate entities that operate under Companies Act 2013. They are NBFC whose financial assets in the business of providing finance for housing constitute at least 60% of its total assets. Global Cooperation Barometer 2024, developed by World Economic Forum and McKinsey & Company, GCB 2024 measures the current state of global cooperation along 5 pillars. These are trade and capital, innovation and technology, climate and natural capital, health and wellness, and peace and security. Snowfall in Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir region has been decreasing in recent years, but this season is notable. Decline in frequency of western disturbances in recent years is one potential reason. The other reason is El Nino contributing to deficit precipitation in the region. Government has imposed a 50% export duty on molasses to ensure adequate domestic quantities for ethanol blending and keep inflation in check. Molasses is a byproduct of sugarcane used as raw material for alcohol production. India is world's largest molasses exporter. Under ethanol blended with petrol program, government has fixed a target of 20% blending of ethanol with petrol by 2025. The Prime Minister of India visited Lepakshi Temple. It is located in Anantapur district of Andhra Pradesh and built in the 16th century during Vijayanagar Empire. It was built in Trikuta style with 3 shrines of Veerbhadra, Papanaseswara and Raghunatha. It is noted for the largest monolithic Nandi statue and Nagasivalinga with 7 hooded snakes. It is placed in UNESCO's tentative World Heritage Sites list. Last batch of Mizoram Bru refugees permanently settled in Tripura as per an agreement signed between the Ministry of Home Affairs, Tripura and Mizoram in 2020. Bru tribe, also known as Riyang, are indigenous to northeast India, living mostly in Tripura, Mizoram and Assam. They belong to the Tibeto-Burman family and speak Kaburu language. They practice jhum cultivation and engage in food gathering activities. They perform Hosagiri dance. The Supreme Court has put a hold on use of explosives for mining of minerals in 5-kilometer radius of Chittorgarh Fort. Chittorgarh Fort is the longest fort in India. It is one of the 6 hill forts of Rajasthan, which are part of UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was constructed by Chitrangada of Modi dynasty. Every year, Jauhar Mela is held in Chittorgarh, Rajasthan. Before we go, it's time to put your knowledge to test in today's segment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you have enjoyed this edition of News Today. To get the answers to today's quiz and to download the PDF of News Today, make sure to check out the links in the description below.